So tell me the story of somebody who you find to be really inspiring, who has totally inspired you.
So that's interesting, right? There's, I draw inspiration from a lot of different places, but I think probably the single greatest inspiration in my life, right, has been my grandmother. And her story, she was an immigrant. She came from Warsaw, Poland in the 40s with her family. And she fell in love with my grandfather, who was a black man in the 50s. She was disowned by her family. And so here's this Polish girl in the States, married to this black man in 1950s, and raising these children of mixed race, right, heritage. And I think the reason that she inspires me so much is that she's always led a really intentional, caring, loving life. And so I think that's where I get those qualities that I'm really tapped into, really in tune with those qualities in life. Yeah, she's just an amazing woman that has a huge heart. And at a time when she didn't have a lot of support, or almost any support, was so willing to give selflessly of herself. So yeah, she's my biggest inspiration.
And then, so what inspires you? And tell me, what you consider to be the most inspirational moment of your life to date.
Wow, that's interesting. So many different things inspire me, right? But I think when I look at big picture type stuff, what really inspires me is learning and bringing different, when I say learning in a really holistic and healthy way, right? Being able to look at life from different perspectives and recognize the value and validity in all of those perspectives. I think that's really what inspires me. And the most inspiring moment of life to date. Wow, that's a challenge. I think the most inspiring moment of my life to date has been the recognition of my family and what they've done in terms of racism and how we've connected to address that throughout. And so I have a very racially mixed family. And not only that, but each of those members advocating for, treating people fairly and equally. So yeah, I don't know if there's one specific moment that has inspired me the most, as much as that culture of growing up in a family that's really connected to and passionate about breaking down, deconstructing racism.
Cool. And then how would you say you're setting out to transform the world and yourself?
That's a beautiful and probably my favorite question, right? So as I talk about my family with racism and the way that we really work to deconstruct and break down those systems, for me on a personal level, the thing that I'm most passionate about and what I'd like to give to this world and leave this world with is a better understanding of gender identities, of sexual orientation, and how important it is that we continue to treat people fairly and equally. And so for me, what my grandmother was to her generation in the 50s, that boundary pusher, because there's no one else in my family who is identified, queer identified, LGBT spectrum identified, that sort of falls on my shoulders. And so for me, I remain committed to really building education / understanding, acceptance around issues that affect queer communities.
Okay. And then if you could leave one message of inspiration to the world or anyone watching this video, what would it be?
One message. I think it can be expressed best in in the quote, and if I try to quote it, I will misquote it. So I'll simply paraphrase, and that is, it's better to seek to understand than to be understood. And so for me, I think the inspirational message that I get from that is to enter any experience with an open mind and the willingness to see different perspectives. And that's really what I want to do, and what I want to leave behind is open other people's hearts, minds, beings to the willingness of being open to different perspectives. Yeah.